Hello and welcome to the Live by Heart Today show number 65. This is a show designed to help you navigate change, uncertainty, and the new world we found ourselves in. We'll talk a little bit about science, a little bit about how our body works, a little bit about intuition, and we do a lot of talking about transformation.
Streaming from Retro Earth Studio and brought to you by
Learn to play jazz piano like a pro, by a pro, with Jazz Piano Pro Essentials at jazzpianopro.com.
And wearehistorically.com. Conscious brand apparel. It's time for the next episode of Live by Heart
Today.
I'm Dawn Spiegelberg, medical intuitive and coherence coach, and this is the last show in our rebirth series. Today's theme is Who Do We Think We Are? With me for today's Heart to Heart is my co-host, Wendy R. Wolf, professional transformation facilitator. Welcome, Wendy.
I'm in love with our title, Who Do We Think We Are? And it's nice after our last show about changing our mind. So we just think we're so fun. I like it.
We think we're fun. We think we're smart. We think we're a lot of things.
Yeah.
This is a show I'm excited to talk about identity. So with regard to rebirth, there's newness. We're not the way we were. We are different. And it's so fun for me because it reminds me of that moment in the Bible where Christ is speaking with, I believe his name was Nicodemus, who was the head of the spiritual community at that time. And he came to Jesus at night when no one else was around and said, "What do I need in order to change?" And Christ said, "Do you need to be born again?" And he was like, "What? How can I be born from my mother again?" So, it's sort of this fun example, fun visual, fun interchange between them, because Christ had been describing so many things from the Old Testament, right? There was no New Testament then. They only had the Old Testament. And one of Christ's responses was, "You're the head teacher and you don't know." And the Bible, the Torah, was describing it, the whole thing. So that for me is a fun imagery with regard to rebirth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's so many cycles. There's cycles in nature, and there's cycles in the scriptures, the Christian and the Hebrew scriptures, as well as many others. Everything is cyclic. All my life's a circle. We go round and around, and our next whole focus is on the growth that happens, like during the late spring and summer. But right now, we've been talking a lot about the turn that we make from death to new life. And that's, if anybody, who's been watching, I mean, we just won't stop talking about it. It's all about the death and the rebirth, because they're one cycle. They're one part of the turn. Right. And we go into the ground, we break open, we come up, like if you use the plant imagery. Mm-hmm. So, and I do want to say, like, some of what we're talking about is like deep spiritual truth. It's deep spiritual truth, and not everybody might access it with some of the things we say, but It's also our everyday life. Mm-hmm. The sun goes down, the sun comes up. The weeks and the months and the years, and the sun goes, gets very small through the winter. It gets very big in the summer. This is just our life. Our relationships go through cycles. Our work lives go through cycles. Our children, they come in like teeny weeny children, and next thing you know, they're big and strong. And then all of this is what we're talking about. Yes, it's spiritual truth, but it's life.
And every morning we wake up and then we impose all the things that happened before that day on who we are again.
Yes. Yes. And then there's big changes where it's different. Like, and we know it, like when we acknowledge it with some of our rituals, with when a baby's christened or when there's a bris. We have rituals, we have weddings, we have funerals, we have these rituals that help us to understand that life is no longer the same. Because it's really new every second. The river's not the same. We've talked about that. But it's hard to really recognize it. But we have rituals. Oh, the end of the year, the solstice, or the holidays. Okay, something's new. And this is, but we're kind of explicating this, I believe. And I think it's very helpful. And there's times in our own souls, unrelated to the season, sometimes related. I went through one of my biggest shifts. I kept waiting for Easter and nope, no shift. Next Easter, no shift. One Easter came and it was like, oh my gosh, I'm coming out of the winter. I'm coming out of the winter of my soul into spring. Praise the Lord. And I'm still in it, tumbling from that, even though it's been years.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're talking about. There's stuff that happens that we have the metaphors for that actually happens in our soul. And that's the depth of what we're talking about. But it's applicable to everything.
It really is. And I'm reminded that there's a quantum physics theory that everything is destroyed and then recreated moment by moment.
Wow.
And that's a mind blower.
It is. That's like quantum physics theory? That's not like Hinduism?
It's Hinduism that they've now proven with quantum theory.
That's funny.
Yeah, the scientific community is always proving what the religions have known all along.
It's really nice. It's really validating.
Yeah. So let's talk about identity and who we think we are. And I'll say, I'm reminded of in Buddhism, they talk about our attachments, right? And how we're identified. And I'll say that I have been strongly identified with being a redhead my whole life because that's how everyone else identifies me, like immediately.
Yes.
And how would I change that? Shave my head? And then would my hair grow back and I'd still be identified as a redhead, right? Like that's such a strong identity. And what goes with that is my heritage. I'm of Gaelic descent, right? Both Irish and Scottish. And so, right, there's all that identity. And that gets reinforced because when things happen, like I hear bagpipes or I hear that style of music, there's something inside me that resonates with that. I enjoy hearing it. It really brings it up. And that for me is crazy. When I stepped off the plane in Dublin, 21 years ago, I took a big breath of air and I really felt like I was home. Like everything felt right. Everything seemed perfect. It's crazy. That's some strong identity.
It is. And you are every second, every cell growth and change, it's changing. Like silvers are starting to come into your hair.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as brilliant color as it used to be, right? Like it is changing. And this is your identity changing with it? That's the question. Like, are you keeping up with the body? And I watch it, like so many women, I mean, certainly most of the people I grew up with were always dyeing their hair, mostly to hide the silver. And, like that just was normal. And when I didn't do that, like that was weird, so weird to allow like the new to manifest in our bodies, and then to allow our consciousness, our identity to shift with it. Oh, I'm not a maiden anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Just like it's very clear. Yeah. So, but we fight it. A lot of us.
You mean with face creams and mascara and lipstick and
And hair dye.
liposuction.
Yeah, we fight it. And I'm not saying it's bad or anything. It's just that we are getting older, regardless of if we manage to keep ourselves looking like we're not. We still are. We're still older.
You're right. And there are so many people who, when they make these changes to try to appear younger, from my perspective, it actually makes it more pronounced that they're not young anymore, right? Like it's so obvious that, oh wow, they're trying really hard to not look how old they are, and it doesn't look good.
Well, what I found interesting is that I found the silver hair actually, it feels like it softens the wrinkles or something. When I see like really bright dyed hair with someone with a lot of wrinkles, it's jarring.
Mm.
In a way that with silver hair, it's just normal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be judgy or anything. It's how it occurs to my eye.
Yeah.
And I
Good
also
point.
lately I brought it up because I've been walking here I'm in New Jersey right now, and I've been walking along the bay, and I see a lot of couples walking, and I see like the man looks like an old man from whichever direction. He's got the silver hair and the older body, and then the woman next to him, I'm always just like, from the back, I'm just like, is that his daughter? Like what's going, like over and over. And then from the front, oh, his wife. Like
Mm-hmm.
over and over, I'm noticing this, and it's just like, hello, this is an interesting thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the couples don't always look like they go together.
Yeah. And that identity, it goes right back to identity. Women wanting to identify with a younger version of themselves. And how does that affect their mentality? So
Mm-hmm.
There's an actress who is our age, except she's done something to make herself still look 24. And it's fascinating to me to look at her. And, obviously I'm seeing her just in her music videos and, this and that. And seeing her new videos behaving like she's 24. Right. And that's just a mind blower because she's not. She's double that.
I think it makes it hard in our society to allow the shifts that are for all of us. Like, like when we have the music videos, we have the produced music, we have the produced pictures, we have the hyper produced pictures. Mm-hmm. The rest of us look at it and it's like, oh, I shouldn't be how I am. And that makes it harder for me to be how I am. Because the fact is that like all of this is happening, all this. And like, of course it's not always comfortable. But like when I look at a world which shows it, that doesn't have to be like that, because of so much application of whatever, it has me want to resist the change, and like that's not a healthy direction for me.
Mm-hmm.
But it does have me be like, oh, I should really like somehow look 30 years younger.
And our last show, Freeing the Mind, right? What we're talking about right now actually prevents our mind from being free, because our mind is now focused on attempting to recapture something that isn't possible.
Yeah.
And even if it is possible for someone in Hollywood or wherever they are,
right,
it's not possible forever. And then what?
No, it's hard. It's really hard, and I feel like it affects our whole life. This whole, we're like worshiping the youth culture instead of like the old days, and in other cultures actually honoring the crones, actually honoring the wise women, the wise men, the wise people. We're worshiping the young people, and it's kind of fascinating. But also, it doesn't one of the things I want to talk about in this show is all the space that we make when we let go of the old.
Mm.
There's all the space. And I think in a previous show, I talked about how I let go of a job that I had part-time while I was doing my business, my ministry, knowing that it was time. I needed to make space. And then all new kinds of stuff came to fruition a few months later in my ministry. All this, like, I had a whole, like, I was working full-time then on my ministry, but I had to make space for it.
Mm.
The old stuff had to die. And that actually happens in our work and our relationships and our life and our schedule. And like, so these ongoing shifts, if I'm always trying to stay the way it is or the way it used to be or looking backward, how can I make space for forward? How can I allow fruition if I'm trying to be a open, seed?
And that's a beautiful image because so many people are wanting the new. They want change. They want this and that. And there is no room for shift when we're holding onto the old.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful image.
Yeah. And even with healing, like we go to the doctor or the chiropractor or whatever, and we were like, can you, I need to be fixed how I used to be.
Yeah.
Instead, we can never go back. We cannot. We can only go forward. So I can be healthy forward to a new body that works.
Mm-hmm.
I can't go back to the old body before it was broken.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't even understand that.
This reminds me when I cut my finger. I've mentioned it before. I was slicing an avocado, and that's like the traditional finger cutting mechanism. And because my hands are my work, I've always been very careful around knives and cooking. So it was such a shock when I cut my knuckle and, so deep and 4 stitches and all that. And when I was at home in bed that evening, laying down, my mind was going over the events. It's what minds do. And as it was going over the events and remembering them and just visualizing those events, my cut was hurting, like throbbing like crazy. And when I stopped thinking about the events and actually, like you said, I was focusing on newness, focusing on healing, focusing on wholeness, there was absolutely no pain. And this was without painkillers. So that was my firsthand example of how our mind has a direct effect on our body. And you've talked before about suffering. Oh, I don't have to suffer through this. I can just go through it. And that's one of the things we're talking about.
Yes.
Who we think we are can hold us back, prevent us from becoming.
Yes. Yes. And it's honestly, and I've said this before, but I can't say it like, I can't go around saying it, like I can't sell it. But what really the fundamental of my whole business and my whole ministry and probably yours is shifting identity.
Mm-hmm.
And because I can't, my body can't allow the healing. Like when you stop focusing on the cut hurt, and it was hurting, and started focusing on it healing and being well,
Mm-hmm.
like that can open to the new.
Yeah.
Like that's what brings us forward. So it serves us to allow the identities to shift so that our bodies can shift and our relationships and our minds and our lives, all this stuff. But I hold on. I hold on to my old identity, who I think I am and should be, how I think it is and should be. I hold on.
Mm-hmm.
And but in the very letting go, I was noticing this before the show. It's like those things that go back and forth, a pendulum. It's like I'm holding this pendulum that wants to swing. It's got the potential energy up here, but I'm holding it with my beliefs, with my identity, and with my agreements, and with my momentum of how it is in my life, my habits. I'm holding it. But if I can let go, then the pendulum can swing. It can swing to the new. But, oh, it's hard. Like, it really does just swing. But from my experience, it tends to go really slow. Like I'll let go of this, and then that's hooking, and I'll let go of this, and that's hooking, and down to the death where the seed cracks open, or whatever you want to say. And new is growing. It is growing, but still I'm just like, oh, so I said it before the show. It's like I'm going through some big things. My partner's job is changing. So my family relationships are super shifting. It's very like my body's grieving. It's very hard, and it's very sad, and it's no fun. And I see all this space opening up, and I see all the possibility of where that pendulum can go. But I just want to validate
it's not there yet.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I was just crying on like Sunday. I was just like, something happened. We were on the beach, and I'm just like bowed over weeping. I'm just like, it hurts. It hurts. It hurts. Like it hurts. And I just want to validate that it hurts. And wow, what's possible?
What's possible? With that in mind, let's take a short break.
Let's give a shout out to our sponsors. Thank you, We Are Storically, for your conscious human apparel.
Hello, my name is Wendy, and I'd love to invite you to our new Graceful Soul workshops on Thursday nights. Join me as we go deeper into healing, into meditation, into soul reading. We'll go deeper, we'll learn more. We'll develop all the parts of ourselves, especially in the soul, which is my specialty. These workshops are especially for mystics, healers, lovers, and leaders. I betcha that's you. So please come Thursday nights at 5:30 Pacific. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you soon.
Hello, I'm Dawn Spiegelberg, a heart coherence coach. How do you feel supported in your life when the rest of the world is anything but supportive to you? It comes from inside. It comes from the foundations that you create day in and day out. The most important thing in understanding how to maintain happiness is the time, because it's the time that you put into maintaining your individual happiness that doesn't just happen overnight. It takes an investment. Live an amazing life and let me help you live that way. Right? Book a session.
Hi, I'm Darius Wilrich. I instruct an online video course that teaches anyone how to play jazz piano like a pro with my proven step-by-step system that makes it simple to learn. Jazz Piano Pro Essentials. Learn the quickest way to start memorizing and playing scales today. Download my free Quick Start Guide.
Welcome back to the Live by Heart Today show, number 65. We're just talking about what's possible. And when we hold on to the past, when we hold on to what was, it takes longer for us to then actually live the possibility. So I'm reminded of my father's death, actually. And, we hold on to our body. We hold on to our relationships. We hold on to so many things. And that's normal. That's the human condition. So for people who are finding it difficult to let go, what do you recommend?
I recommend the tools that we use.
Right? Me too.
Oh my God. I don't know where I'd be without them. Right? Like, we have so many tools that help to make change, that lever the change that helped pry my
Fingers
fingers
open.
open.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm not letting go. Lots of expletives.
Yes.
But I utilizing the tools, mostly inner tools for me, but also, we both have some tools that help into the world as well to bring the changes, to explicate the implicate change. We have this, and it can be so much easier. And without it, I wouldn't be doing any of this. I'd just be looking backwards, holding on, screaming and crying all the time. Like it was miserable before I had tools. It was miserable. And now it's not. It's freaking awesome.
I often share with my clients, and this is body centric, but it works also spiritually. If you think about, there's 168 hours in the week, I believe, right? And say you sleep for 60, then there's 108 hours left. And I tell them, if you and I do work for just 1 hour, right? Change in 1 hour, remarkable transformation. There's a whole other 107 hours that we're not together of the old pattern, of the habits that you created, of all that other stuff that's pulling on you and asking, are you really different? Did you really go through that transformation? And it's a lot. It's a lot to pull on us. So if you think about it in terms of the patterns that we created out of 107 waking hours of our life, and then you spend 1 hour working on yourself, 1 hour saying, oh, I'll be better at cleaning all the toilets next week because this week it didn't work. You're talked about momentum. 107 hours is a lot of momentum behind a particular direction, and to have 1 hour to try to shift and go a different direction, it's got to be a really strong, powerful 1 hour.
Yes.
Compared to the 107.
Yes, and you and I both, all the things that we do is meant to be practiced more and more and more as we learn into our lives, into our world. The whole idea is, and a really good example is how you've helped me change how I walk. And I'm walking and I forget, and then I remember, I'm like, okay, do this, and I do it, and then I forget, and then but like more and more and more, I walk a new way, and it changes everything. Yeah. And that's how it is with all of the things that we do in the inside things as well. It has us stand in a different place on a solid piece of ground. I love the Archimedes thing. We have a solid ground with a lever and a fulcrum that actually can move our world. Actually can, if we do it. It works if we work it.
It really does. And I have to say that the tools that we have, we're reminded to use them because we've stopped using it. It's like when you move your feet in a particular way and your knees stop hurting. Yeah. Then when your knees start hurting, that's the reminder, oh, my feet, look at my feet. My feet can be in a different position and my knee will stop hurting. That's the same with tools. I'm using the tool, some uncomfortable thing happens, and I'm reminded, oh, I let down my guard. I stopped using this tool that I had been using. Let's bring the tool back. Let's use it again. And then it shifts. It shifts our attachments. It shifts how we're identifying. It's really, really amazing.
It's really, really amazing. And it's not like it needs, like, we relearn to walk, and I know I'm still learning, but like it becomes natural. We don't have to think about it. It's not about thinking. It's we're a different person. We have a different identity. We walk differently. That's it. And everything else changes. Like that's how it works. And in between, it's the pain reminds us. And what I learned, and I keep talking about this because it's so important. I learned that I wasn't paying attention to the pain. Like, right? And Michael was like, the whole reason I was saying I was crying a while ago, I was saying I was crying this weekend. And it's because Michael's like, he got to a head and he's like, you're complaining. You never complain. And I was like, nah, like, stop making me wrong for, it's like, it hurts. And like that's when I got to my pain. And he's like, I don't know how to do it differently. I'm just like, just put up a mirror so I can say, you're suffering. You're suffering. Oh, I'm suffering. Oh, well, then I know what to do.
Yes.
Right? But I don't notice sometimes.
Yes.
And that's how my friends can tell me, oh, you're suffering, you're complaining, there's something wrong. Oh, okay. Well, then I can handle it. But like, I still am getting used to not suffering because it's just normal. It's a momentum to change.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm just used to that level of suffering, and then I can get unused to it and live in joy more and more and more.
Yes, you're used to accepting that level of suffering. And
Yes.
now that you don't have to accept it, that you can actually shift it.
Yes.
And yet you need a reminder because you've got 107 hours of learned suffering. And that 1 hour of, oh, I don't have to, and the tools that come with that.
Yes.
And our friends can remind us, our family can remind us, we can remind each other.
Yes, yes. And I'm always talking about putting up little stickies to remind me, but yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
And this is the live by heart way.
Yes.
You are living by heart.
Yes.
In the midst of it.
Yes.
In the midst of the tears and the crying and the, oh, yes, I can.
Oh, yeah, I'm suffering.
Yes. I can tap into what's happening for me and identify it and then choose something else. Vanilla, chocolate, suffering, not suffering.
Yes. And it's not always easy. Like, stopping the suffering means letting go of things, people, activities, ways of being, identity that I want, that I like, that I love, that I care. It's not all easy.
No.
It's not easy, but like, I can stop the pain. I can make it stop if I'm willing to say no.
And I use the example of my finger. I was laying in bed and my mind was naturally reviewing the events. It was seeing the knife. It was holding the avocado. It was reliving the events, which caused my finger to hurt, the 4 stitches and everything. So I just want to encourage everyone that there are tools to help shift. I happened to learn that if I stopped thinking about the events that happened, my finger would stop hurting. And how fortunate am I to have learned the power of the mind in that moment and could apply the shift. And sometimes we're in it so deep, we don't know what to apply. Right. And that's where Wendy's tools help, my tools help, and that's how to live by heart today. So with that, I'd like to close.
Yes, I'll just say, I just want to really make it explicit. The whole, I think about the cut and how it happened in the avocado, and it hurts.
Yeah.
That's how we live. We're reliving all kinds of pain and all kinds of fear and all kinds of backwards and forwards in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And it causes so much pain and fear and invalidation and suffering and etc. That's what we're talking about. That doesn't have to be how it is, but it takes something. It takes a picture by picture. I'm willing to let this go, agreement by agreement.
Yes, and the scientists call it one of the laws of thermodynamics, and that is the entropy. Things will lead toward chaos unless you impose an equal or greater amount of energy, and then you can make the change away from chaos. And that's what we're talking about, an equal or greater amount of energy to offset the suffering, to make the change. So it's not just, I'd like to stop suffering now. There are actual tools to apply with the same degree of intensity to make the change.
Yes.
And it's possible.
The last 10 minutes were just all kinds of animated because we're talking about what works. We're talking about why we're here.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about the possibility that we live in, that we're continuing to open for ourselves and help other people open. And it's so exciting. That's why we're here.
Yeah. That's why we're here. Thank you, Wendy. And thank you to everyone who's watching today. If you're watching us live or if you're catching the replay, please let us know by leaving comments below. We want to hear from you. So please let us know what's on your heart. For more information about how you can live by heart, please go to livebyhearttoday.com. Like and follow this page and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our programs. We're here every week on Thursdays at 4:44 Pacific time. From our heart to yours. We're creating a better tomorrow because we live by heart today.
And that concludes this portion of
Live by Heart Today!
Thank you for watching. View more episodes on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you, We Are Storically, for your conscious human apparel. Shop online at wearehistorically.com.
Hi, I'm Darius Wilrich. I'll teach you everything you need to know about playing jazz piano like a pro with my 12-week online video course and downloadable guidebook, Jazz Piano Pro Essentials. Enroll today at jazzpianopro.com.
Thank you for joining us. Have a happy always.